The only real reason why it seems so difficult and so challenging for you to create the life that you want and experience the lifestyle that you want to live is simply because you don't stand for nothing. And when you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it does not apply, that means it's not in line, which means it is not for you, so don't force it. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For the month of May, we have been going over and discussing how life is going to change, which means nothing in life is going to last forever. But for today's video specifically, we're going to talk about how you're going to start creating the life that you want so you can experience the things that you desire and that you want, because you're allowed to, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So starting off with the introduction, starting off with the first disclaimer, the only reason why it seems so difficult or so challenging and so impossible for you to be the person you want to be is because you have not decided that you want to stand for it. In order for you to create the life that you want, and I'm speaking from experience, I had to decide that if I want to live a certain type of way, if I want to walk a certain type of way, if I want to eat a certain type of way, if I want to look a certain type of way, I have to be willing to go 100% in. So until you decide that you're 100% in, you will have doubts, you will have fears, you will be insecure, and nothing is going to change. So the second disclaimer is, once you realize that you have to be 100% committed, is to realize, okay, if I want to do certain things, I need to know what it is. You need to know what you want. You need to have a sense of direction. You need to have structure. You need to have ideas. Now, of course, just because you have ideas, just because you have plans, doesn't always mean that you're always going to have the resources and the tools and the guidance and even the finances and experiences to get to them immediately. And that's going to be the third disclaimer. But you just need to know where to start. If you want to lose weight, if you want to live healthier, if you want to exercise, you have to be willing to realize, okay, if this is what I want, what resources do I have? You have Google, you have internet. You can go on Google and search how to lose weight for beginners, how to exercise for beginners. If you don't have the finances to invest into a personal trainer, once again, you're on YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you can go to the library. You have to be willing to use what you have in order for you to start. You're not going to have everything figured out. That's okay. If you do have the resources, if you have the supplies and the tools, use them. You cannot complain or compare yourself to people, because at the end of the day, we don't know how people got to where they are. But if you're not willing to see the people do the things that you want, being envious of them or hating on them doesn't change your situation. And that's the third disclaimer. Use the resources that you have and stop comparing yourself to people who cannot pour into you. If people are not willing to invest into you, if people are not willing to pour into you, if people are not willing to supply you with finances or experiences or their expertise, don't worry about that. When it comes to you creating the life that you want, you have to be tunnel vision. You can't look outside of you. You can't even listen to people who you don't want to look like, you don't want to smell like, you don't want to talk like, you don't like their energy, whatever it is. If it's not in line with what it is that you want, you don't need to focus on it. You don't need to listen to it, because people and places and things, speaking from experience, who are not compatible with you, who are not in alignment with you, are going to roar, 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 roar. They're going to bark, they're going to yell, they're going to scream, they're going to shout, they're going to do any and everything. They're going to be distractions, they're going to talk shit, they're going to gossip, they're going to make up rumors, they're going to do everything they can to distract you. They're going to talk down on you. They're going to make it seem like what you want is impossible or that you don't deserve the things that you want. I will be danged if I allow people and places and things who are no longer in my life to make me feel bad about the things that I want, because it was never for them. Just because you want certain things doesn't make you a bad person, as long as you're not hurting yourself and harming yourself and, causing confusion, corruption, and chaos and disruptions, because that's what we don't tolerate over here. So the fourth disclaimer is knowing that as you're creating the life that you want, as you're learning to be more intentional, as you're realizing what's for you and what's not, as you're taking the time to invest into yourself, you have to be present. Things are not always going to happen when you want them to, because you don't always have control of everything. You have to realize what you have control over versus the things that you don't. The things that you do have control over time, as you practice, you're going to get better. The more and more you get better at something, the more experience that you have. So therefore, you know, like, okay, how should I react and respond? It's okay if you decide in the beginning that, let's just say you want to physically become healthier, that it's taking you a while to start eating, let's just say, fruits and vegetables. If you're used to eating like potato chips and candies and donuts, like, learning to change your diet is going to take time because you're used to, like I said, sugary foods that may not be for you. Same thing if you want to be financially literate and financially stable. If you grew up poor, if you grew up in poverty, if you grew up living paycheck to paycheck, learning to save money, learning to invest into money, learning to, you know, speak to people who can help you financially is gonna take some time. If you're healing yourself from narcissistic abuse or psychological abuse or just people who are dysfunctional and negative, learning to not be paranoid, learning to be confident in yourself, learning to not be a people pleaser, whatever it is, like, it's a process. So lastly, before we get into the recommendations, when it comes to you creating the life that you want, you just have to believe that you deserve it. Like, if you don't feel like you are deserving of things, it doesn't matter how much time, how much energy and effort you are like applying into yourself, you're still gonna have that doubt subconsciously, and that's what we need to work on. So the first recommendation, as you're writing this down in your notes, is to figure out, why do you feel like it's so impossible for you to create the life that you want? And I need you to write it down specifically. You know why you feel like you're insecure. You know why you feel like it's impossible. You know why. You do. You may not know like immediately as I'm saying this in the moment, but 99% of you do know. You need to know why, because until you know where this root is coming from, until you go to the source, you are still gonna doubt yourself. Like, a lot of times, I know for me, speaking from experience, I've never doubted myself, but like I said, I grew up and I witnessed a lot of narcissistic people. I grew up around a lot of envious, low vibrational, like scuzzy people. Like, so it's like anytime I did something that wasn't in alignment with them, they thought that they could like control or be possessive. Like, so many possessive parasocial relationships. Like, it's just so like and it's just like, I know, like, me, if I were to like continue to be around these people, I would not be able to be blessed. Like, my ancestors, God, and the universe was not going to bless me until I separated myself from these people, because they were not deserving of my blessings. They weren't going to be around me when I got blessed. And me personally, like, so many people will be like, oh, you think you know everything, or you think you're just so smart. And it's just like, babe, I only know what I know. And no, I don't think I know everything. I just know what I've gone through. Like, when you have high standards like myself, people who don't have high standards, they want to judge you. They want to talk about you. They want, like I said, they want to try to control you. And it's just like, you don't control yourself. You don't judge yourself. And it's like, why do you feel like I would even want to be like associated with you? Like, people you know, like, if people, like I said, family members, friends, coworkers, peers, whoever, like, people who try to pursue you, like, if you don't have nothing going for yourself, why should I listen to you? Why do you think I want to be like you? Why do you think I want to associate myself with you? Like, and it's not even the fact that you are superior to them. It's just everything is not for everybody. Like, it is okay to like the things that you want. Like, once again, the people who are not for this content, you're not the target audience. And that's the second recommendation. Once you know why you have the doubt and the fears, you need to figure out what you're able to do. So therefore, anything that's not in alignment with you, you can start to remove. Like, you have to be aware of the people around you, because like I said, sometimes people are gonna project and deflect. They do it subconsciously and they do it consciously. Like, sometimes people are haters and they say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. And some people do it because they're afraid. You cannot surround yourself with people who are afraid to do the things that you want, because that just means if someone's afraid of what you're saying or what you believe in, they're not meant to be a part of the picture. So if you say that you want to lose weight and everyone else around you is not like physically healthy and physically fit, you need to cut them off. You need to separate yourself from them. You need to distance yourself from them. You need to stop listening to them. Let them, like I said, talk and bark, because that's all they can do, and watch. That's all you can do is watch and talk and bark. They're not gonna, because anyways, same thing if you want to be in healthy relationships, including myself. People say, oh, all people are going to do this, all people stay away from people like that. If you want to be financially literate and you, like I said, grew up around people who maybe had like impoverished mentality or living a certain type of way, stay away from them. You have to be willing to cut off anything that is not what you want, because focusing on what you want is not going to help you get there. So the fourth recommendation, because that was the third one, is knowing that when you're creating your life, you're going to go through fluctuations of emotions. Like some days you may feel good, some days you may feel bad. It's really important to ground yourself, and anytime you're feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, you talk about it. So if you have days that you feel like, oh, I feel frustrated, you need to express why. You need to be able to figure out why you feel the way you do, because it's like, you cannot allow your emotions to get the best to you as you're creating your life, especially if you're doing things that have never been done before or for the first time. The only way you're going to continue to sustain and maintain the life that you want is to control your emotions and know what you need to react and respond to. So like some days you may be tired when you're trying to lose weight. You're allowed to rest. Like, you need to be intentional about where you're focusing your time and your energy. You also, like I said, need to have a sense of direction. So if you have a goal to physically lose weight and become physically healthier, you need to make sure that you have certain days where you're, eating better. Then you have certain days that where maybe you're exercising. Then you have certain days where you're resting, so you don't burn yourself out. Because if you don't rest, if you don't take your time, or if you have days where you're trying to do everything in a day, you're gonna feel overwhelmed and anxious. That's like with me, you guys, when I post on this account, even though I'm posting back to back to back to back to back to back to back, I have a schedule, I have a routine, I have a life outside of YouTube. If you did not know, like, I do so much more that you guys know nothing about. So it's just like, when I post, I have a schedule. Now, like I said, I have very high standards because I can maintain them. I'm not overworking myself. I'm not burning myself out. And even when I do feel tired, when you know that you want to live the life that you want, and that's the 5th recommendation, you still have to show up regardless. Like, you have to be able to push through the limitations. You have to be able to knock down any distractions or anything that is not contributing into what it is that you need to do. So when it comes to you creating the lifestyle that you want, go through your emotions, express how you feel, rest when you need to rest, work when you need to work. You guys saw that. Play when you need to play, have fun when you need to have fun, but get it done. If you know that you can only do 3 tasks a day because you're starting from the beginning, only do 3 tasks a day. If you know you can do 5 tasks a day, do 5 tasks a day. If you can only do one thing a day, you have to realize how much time, how much energy, how much effort you pour into yourself is how you're going to see results. So if you do 5 tasks a day, you're going to build a certain level of momentum. If you do 1 task a day, you're going to build a certain level of momentum. As long as you do what you can with what you have and you are showing up, you'll get to where you need to be. You can't have an expectation of something if you don't know how it's going to work out. So like, just because you have the idea, just because you want certain things, and I'm speaking from experience, doesn't mean, like I said, it's always going to work out how you want it to. So when things don't work out how you plan or accordingly, you're still able to show up. You can't allow certain setbacks or certain things not working out in your favor discourage you. So don't feel like you're delayed, don't feel like you're far behind life, and most importantly, don't compare yourself and cut off anything or anybody who's not gonna be there to represent you or help you. So with that being said, thank you guys for liking these videos and always engaging and always commenting and liking and subscribing and let me know what you think, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms. All the information is down in the description box below. Book your service and your session if you're ready for your one-on-one service appointment. It's in the description, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms. It's also in the description down below. If you guys want me to go live talking about this, drop the word live. I'll go live on either Instagram or on TikTok. But I love you. You are love. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace.